Are you going to try to influence people?
It's just a prompt, and AI guesses randomly.
Query the key and give me the value.
We need to move from prompting to context engineering.
These 5 levels just give you more and more and more context.
And does that kind of tie to the concept of context chaining that you have mentioned in your book?
Billions and billions of sequences. I want my customer to go from location A to location B.
Is it like an API specification?
Today is the history lesson that the days of writing functions are over. People are beginning giving context.
Hello everyone. Today's masterclass is about moving from prompting to engineering, from unpredictable AI outputs to production-ready systems. I'm talking with Dennis Rothman, author of Context Engineering for Multi-Agent Systems, about his Context Engine. It's a Glassbox architecture that transforms how we build AI systems. We are covering semantic blueprints, multi-agent coordination, dual RAG, production hardening, and how to deploy all of this at scale in production. If you're tired of AI systems that work in demos but fail in production, this conversation will change how you build. Hi, Dennis. Welcome to Agent Build Expert Exchange. Again, this is your second podcast with me, so thank you for giving me your time.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this.
No, that's totally fine. Pleasure is mine. So I've been reading this book.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I found it really, really useful in my work as well. What I like about this book is that every chapter has got something to code with, right? So you can implement
always.
something.
Yeah, I always ground my chapters in code. Otherwise, it's just talk.
Yes, absolutely. And this is really useful.
It's easy to talk. It's more difficult to prove it in code.
Exactly. So and that's what I like. It's not theoretical. I can basically go with it and build something that's really useful. What I plan to do today is kind of so we have got like data engineers, AI engineers, mainly technical practitioners in the field listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
And what we want to lay out is, because context engineering is a very new topic, if you like, in this space, and everyone is trying.
It's new in that space, but it's pretty old for me.
That's what I knew that you would say that. So and that's why I have you to do the masterclass with me in this podcast, kind of like lay out what it is, how do we think about it, how do we strategize, and what are the technical nitty-gritties, right? That's what we are
just ask your questions and I'll answer any question you want.
Okay, great. So you open your book with a bold statement. You say that we have been asking the wrong questions all along. We have been treating AI like an oracle, sending prompts and hoping for good answers, right? So walk us through what you mean. For the engineers listening who are currently doing prompt engineering, what's fundamentally broken about that approach? And what made you realize that we need to move from prompting to context engineering?
Well, there's one term we can, because it's called telepathy. So let me ask you a question. What would you like to drink? It's very vague.
Yeah.
Do you like to drink? So let's suppose I want to give you something to drink, and I say, do you like to drink? And you're going to say, what is he talking about? Why doesn't he? Then you have someone that's a bit more conversational, said, do you want to drink a coffee or a tea? So now you see that this person wants to offer you something. Mm-hmm. So you went from, do you like to drink, or would you like to drink a coffee or a tea? And if you say, what would you like to drink? You invite someone at home, what would you like to drink? And this person, can say, I want champagne. I don't drink alcohol. I want an orange juice. You have 100 answers. Now, a large language model just has stored everything humanity can think of. It's all these possibilities stored in there. It's just good grammar and good vocabulary. But at the same time, you have to ask it's not telepathic. Okay, so you really have to give a context. So if now we're in your living room and you invite someone to say, would you like some coffee or some tea, or I have some orange juice? Mm-hmm. But if you say, what do you want to drink? Guys say, oh, it's a restaurant here, or you have a bar, you have everything. So you're giving a context. And in everyday life, people are giving context for, let's say, 50,000 years. Mm-hmm. Because what would you like to eat? But is this breakfast, lunch, or dinner? So unless you put context, no one can communicate. What would you like to do? What would you like? What is he talking about? So everyone in every day is always complaining that the other person is not giving context. What are you talking about? That's how many times do you hear that? What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
then and then once you have the context, what are you going to put in that context? Are you going to
Mhm.
try to influence people, or I have some good orange juice. I just have some fresh pressed orange juice. So now you're directing someone, you're directing the system. So this is the beginning of context engineering, going from vague to precise with a context.
Great, great. So connected to that, in chapter one, you take readers through the five levels
Yeah.
of context sophistication, right? And you really show the same task, completing a sentence about a cat, I think. And at
Yeah.
each level, you kind of
Yeah,
explain
my
what it
cat's
is.
right next to me and is a great inspiration.
That's really good. So walk us through this progression, right? What are the five levels, and what are the keys to unlock at each level?
Okay, so now we have this large language model, which has billions and billions of sequences that it just stored with probabilities. So now I'm saying the cat is sitting on, for example. We can take, right? You're talking to a system. The only thing that's making it difficult is because it's good in grammar and vocabulary. Think of it as a gigantic database. So you're saying the cat is on, and now you write a query in SQL. You say the cat's on. Give me all the. You're going to get like 1,000 words.
Mhm.
It's on a chair. It's on a table. It's on a couch. Where is it on? So if you think of it as an SQL query, it becomes very easy to understand. The only thing that's confusing you is that it's conversational. It knows how to put a subject, a verb, an adjective. So it's just tricking everyone to think it's intelligent. It's just like in the old days when we would write preset sentences and just replace a word with, oh, like you get these emails, dear customer, we're so happy. And then you say, dear Dennis, and you get it. So we go from a cat is on. Now you imagine this query. Now it's digging into its model checkpoints.
Mhm.
It has 100 answers. So it will do it randomly. It'll just get a random, it'll find a list and give a random list of probabilities and just take one, maybe the most used one on the internet. The cat is sitting on the couch or on the rug. So then you want to go further and you say, well, my cat is singing in a living room. Ah, so then now I'm bringing down my query it's bringing low entropy now, because now in a living room I don't have a kitchen table, I don't have a tent outside, I don't have grass, I have very little things. The table, I wouldn't let my cat on a table, so the most frequent thing would be on a couch or a rug.
Mhm.
So now you get something more precise. Now my cat is sitting in the living room in a place where no one can bother him. Now we're so these five levels just give you more and more and more context until you reach the point where you say, why don't I just write a structured context? Location, what he's doing, the story I want, everything. Just say everything I want, just like you're doing in this interview. You have a number of preset questions, and
Mhm.
now you're saying, it's not just Dennis, talk for an hour. Okay, imagine an interview. Then I can do that. I can talk to a telephone pole for 1 hour.
Yeah.
so, so but generally it doesn't work. Many
Yeah.
people can't do that. So you're gonna say, Dennis, I have talk for 1 hour. Dennis, I have 10 subjects I want to talk about. This. Now you're giving context. It's
Mhm.
just as simple as that. It's not. Don't go look for the theory of relativity. It's so simple. If you don't give context, you don't get anything from anybody or anything.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So I think this is crucial. So let me make sure that
Let
everyone.
me let me let me give you another example. You
Okay.
go you go to an airport and you don't go to the machine.
Mhm.
You want to talk to someone today. He said, "I want a flight." A person sitting there go, "Oh, maybe I should call security." "I want a flight," I said, "but where?" I told you I want a flight. Can't you see
Mhm.
where I want to go? That's exactly the topic.
Yeah. Exactly. Just and I want to make sure that everyone is tracking the progress here. So level one is zero context, right? where it's just a prompt and AI guesses randomly
Yeah.
based on, you just said that, what do you want to drink? And that's it, right? So, and then level two is linear context, where you add a bit more information, slight improvement, right? Hey, it's 6 p.m. What do you want to drink? It's Saturday, 6 p.m. What do you want to
Right.
drink? Something
Right.
like that,
Right.
right? And then you've got goal oriented. So the first real context you tell, if you are trying, you're telling what you're trying to achieve. So, like for example, Dennis, we have a podcast on context engineering for multi-agent system, the book you wrote. So I give more context to you in terms of what we are trying to do, right? Then you've got the role based. So you assign explicit roles and relationships. So Dennis, you're an expert. You have known context since probably I was not born. So you have been working on that. So that kind of defines your role and your experience. And then you've got the semantic blueprint, which is the full engineering approach, right? So where enterprise AI should be heading towards. So you are decomposing every action into its semantic components. And I wanted to understand at level five, when you introduce the semantic role labeling, what is the secret sauce here? Like, talk to us what transforms an organization who is currently just prompting, what transforms them into this full level five, fully engineered semantic layer?
Okay, so this is a very simple one
Yeah.
because as we speak, now we go back to the structure of an attention head inside the transform. These are transformers, and inside the transformers, there's math, and in this math, there are matrices which just run words against other words. They're not linear anymore. Inside the attention head, nothing's linear.
Mhm.
They're not. It's not an RNN going in a linear sequence. It just mix looking at all the words. Now, when I talk to you, it is impossible for you to remember the sequence of my words.
Mhm.
Always go back to how you think. You can't remember if I ask you just to repeat exactly word for word the sentence I just said, you can't do it. What are you doing? You're transforming a linear sequence into concepts. You're saying, he's going from linear and he's just extracting ideas because I can't remember the sequence and no one can. So he's going from linear to something else. So now that's the first step.
Mhm.
Everyone does that. All you have to do is observe yourself. As for the context, the prompt, what do you want to eat? Or you go to the airport, I want a flight. You need a context. Now someone's talking to you. Now you're at this counter at the airport, and we can. Well, I'd like a flight to New York, and I'm in and I'd like to go there. And the person's listening to nothing of what you're saying. If you just picture yourself, the person doesn't even care about what you say. Just trying to pick up, where do you want to go? Oh, you want to go to New York. Where are you? You're in Paris. Now you can talk for 1 hour. That person's not listening anymore
Yeah.
because you are extracting the information you need from a linear system. Now, every human being does that. So now you have billions and billions and billions and billions of sequences stored and trained into the weights of the system. So now, if you want to extract information from that system, well, you're going to have to talk normally, like you're talking to at a desk. You be precise.
Mhm.
I want a ticket to go from Paris to New York. So now you have, what are you talking about? Location. I'm going from location A to location B. That's where you have to be smart, because if you start to think in location A, location B, you're back to thinking like a database,
Mhm.
which is where all this information comes from in the first place. So in a database, you wouldn't imagine putting all kinds of gibberish, all kinds of, you just say, let's put a list of locations and let's put a list of locations A and B from where we can go to. Now we have gone from linear in a few seconds today, and we've gone to nonlinear where we're just semantics. Location A, location B. So now in your prompt, you're going to write, I want to write a little prompt. We're going to say location A, location B. I want my customer to go from location A to location B. And in location B, now you can say, what is there to see? Sightseeing. Then you put a list of sightseeing. Now you give this, I have location A, the person's going to location B, and it's sightseeing. Now write me a little engaging marketing pitch, but speak about location A, location B, and the sightseeing. Now the system is just knows what to do. It's going to query. It's a query. You know that inside the intention head, you have query keys and values.
Mhm.
Did you ever think of that? You haven't, but I'm going to make you think of that.
Mhm.
Inside the core of an
Yeah.
attention head is a query, a key, and a value. Think of SQL.
Mhm.
What do I query in SQL? Keys.
Yeah.
What am I looking for? A value.
Mhm.
Now, a query, you have the example there of linear. A query is very linear in SQL. Select this, do this, select query, query the key and give me the value. But the attention head said, no, 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 no. I'm going to put a billion, I'm going to put a million, mix up a million queries in there, a million of them, put them all together, and then put it right into grammar and vocabulary. So it's huge. So now you can see that you're going from linear gibberish to we're going back to the airplane thing. And the lady says, "Good. What can I do for you today?" Well, I'm in Paris, location A, and I want to go to New York, location B. And while you're at it, if you can, do you know if some things I could see over there? Now you have something that's really structured.
Mhm.
So the thing is structure, going from linear to structure, which everyone does in a meeting. Everyone here has been in a meeting.
Mhm.
Everyone listening to this, in a family meeting, in a business meeting, college, school, a meeting, a class. No one listens to everything. It's impossible. No one's going to walk out of a meeting and says, I can tell you word for word what went on in that class, went on in that high school, or that meeting. No, everyone's extracting concepts. And those concepts are going from linear sequences to semantics. But now when you talk to the system, you have to do it in reverse engineering. You have to reverse engineer yourself. Say, no, 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 I'm not going to put sequences, I'm going to put concepts.
Mhm.
So today is the history lesson. So label one, the topic is history. Label two, this period. Label three, I don't know, George Washington at Valley Forge. Write a little history lesson about this. It's very easy for the system to find that because you've overloaded the attention head with very, very precise queries. So
Mhm.
now it's not going through billions of weights. It'll give you the probabilities. Valley Forge. It becomes easier. So you go from linear to structure, and all you have to do is reverse engineer yourself. Even in this podcast, someone listening to the podcast can say, "What concepts am I extracting from this podcast?"
Mhm.
And these concepts are what I'm going to structure in a prompt for an LLM, and that's all you have to do is just exercise all day like that.
Makes sense. And does that kind of tie to the concept of context chaining that you have mentioned in your book?
Yeah, but of course, once again, reverse engineering anything technical into your life.
Mm.
We have invented nothing, okay? That's
Mm.
what you have to think. Linguistics has existed for more than 100 years, and it's been very precise. So context chaining is in an interview. That's what you're doing. You just did context chaining. Dennis, can you explain a little better what you mean by semantic things? Now that you've said that, can you tell me more about context chaining? But you've just done it.
Mm.
You can explain it yourself if you reverse engineer yourself. First, you had a precise information, and then you're zooming down to something else. And now you ask another question, you can receive an answer and another one, and you build an extremely structured dialogue. So if we go back to the flight attendant, the flight person at the desk, I have a location. I'm in Paris. I want to go to this location. Person saying, wow, this guy is very precise. I'm going to New York. Okay. Now she says, okay, I have 3 flights, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And I said, now I'm going to say, but when I get there, now we're chaining. Is there a shuttle? Or do I have to take a taxi? Or do I have to hitchhike to go there? Is there a shuttle? So now I've just chained, but it's just continuing a conversation. Chaining is just continuing a conversation in a logical way. Like I can say, "Oh, that's great. This flight, is there a shuttle?" That's a good chain. A stupid chain is, "Oh, that's a good flight. How's the
Mm.
weather today in Bombay,
Mm.
in Mumbai? What's the weather?" And the person says, "Wow, this guy's not connecting." And when you talk to people in conversations, they said, "We started a conversation. What's this person talking about? He can't even focus 10 seconds." Today, everyone has problems focusing for 10 seconds in a conversation. Just sit at a dinner table and listen. No one finishes a conversation. Just jump from one to another. Boom, 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 boom. That's not context chaining. That's
Yeah.
bouncing. So context chaining is just going from one logical answer to the next logical question. And if you create a rupture in there, then it's going to just give you all kinds of stuff. And then people say, oh, it's hallucinating. Now, I'm sorry, you're hallucinating. You're the one that's hallucinating, not the system. The system has this whole bunch of probabilities and will go in any direction. And if I record at a dinner table, everyone's hallucinating because no one can even finish a sentence. No one can finish a story. So what you have to do is guide the system. And if you guide it correctly, it'll never hallucinate. But if you keep doing stupid context chaining or just vague prompts, it'll just give you probabilities. So now I'm saying, I want to go from Paris to New York. Is there a shuttle? That's the chain. Yes, there is a shuttle. Is it free? Do I have to pay? Now that's logical. If you start saying, what would you suggest to do? Now you're giving it a lot of possibilities. And it might just give you a possibility, yeah, I met a person at the airport that drove me somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So hallucination means that because these LLMs are so good now that they don't hallucinate that much. It means in the beginning, of course, but not anymore.
Yeah.
The only person hallucinating is you.
Mm.
Because if you narrow it down to the token and you look at the context engine I wrote, I can trace everything that's going on in that system.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say, oh, that's where I missed it. I didn't give it, the prompt wasn't structured enough.
All right. In chapter 2, you introduce the concept of multi-agent systems, and this is where I see most teams are struggling nowadays. You also talked about, so while talking about multi-agent systems, you talked about the MCP, the Model Context Protocol, which has been really, really viral in social media. but I still see like a room for you to explain to us what MCP is and why did you choose it as the foundation of the examples that you have mentioned in your book compared to other orchestration layers.
Well, the transition is very easy. We have structure. If I give locations and I ask for sightseeing or precise concepts, I'll get something good. That works for generative AI too,
Mm-hmm.
because with Model Context Protocol, you're writing a structure,
Yeah.
a constant structure. No matter what you're asking that generative AI system to do, you're giving it a structure. Now, the quantum leap for anyone listening is to understand that the days of writing functions are over.
Mm.
Now, that is extremely difficult to go from. This sentence is so difficult, it might take someone 5 years to understand.
Yeah.
Because it means that the generative AI systems today are trained with very logical processes like math.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't need you to think. They don't need you at all. Now, this is someone hopefully people will realize before they lose their jobs, because the system can reorganize tasks by itself.
Mm.
Like I can say, say to generative, go look for information on Wikipedia and come back with a summary of what MCP is. And once you find that summary, explain it to a college class. And once you do that, I'd like you to write an email and write that email and send it to my colleague. But this other email I want to write is for someone that's non-technical. I've just used 5 agents.
Mm.
So the only way for you to have a universal system is to speak to the generative AI in a universal language, which is MCP. Because as long as you do that, you can test it and test it and test it and test it in a standard way. Now, if you write 50 ways of doing it, you'll never be able to test that. It's impossible. If every structure you give is different, then you'll spend years. But if you just have one structure, then you can say, oh, I wrote it wrong. And then I wrote it wrong. I'll just correct that. And then you test multiple instances with just one structure. Now, once you have that, you can create an agent that does the same thing all the time. Read, write. Go back to SQL servers or Oracle. What do? Read, write, update, insert. No one's inventing concepts. We're just having a new tool that's very powerful. So now you have read, write. Read websites, read this, do that, and write, summarize. So now I have an agent for everything. I have an agent to read, I have an agent to write, I have a summarize to search. And it's so structured that as I test it, I know it works because I can test it on 15 different topics. And once it's optimized, then it can work on anything. It's a universal context engine.
Makes sense.
In fact, there's a course I'm giving on January 24th for Pact, where
Hmm.
we're going to spend a day building a context engine.
And is this a workshop that you're doing?
Yeah, it's a workshop to go
Oh, nice.
from it's start like this from where we're going exactly, but then building a universal context engine at the end that the person will have in a personal environment, not in my GitHub environment, in their personal environment.
Oh, this will be really useful. What I'll do is I'll get more details about the workshop and maybe pin it with the podcast in the link when I publish it. So
Yeah,
that
it's on January 24th. You'll find it pretty easily,
okay,
So it's anyone that comes to my profile says, "Oh, I'm going to see something I can use today to improve what I'm doing." Because right now we need skills. So at the
yeah,
bottom of every post, you can click on it and you have a resource page where I just sum up everything, the books and the workshops. So people don't have to look everywhere. They just can go there. So it's there in the link. You just click on it and you have the link.
okay, makes sense.
Okay, so now we have we have structured our what we were talking about earlier
Hmm.
into an MCP, into a structure. That's all. All we did was structure, and then we have agents that will just obey these structures that all the agents can understand because we're speaking the same language to them.
Is it like an API specification?
Well, an API, why not? An API is the key. You just said API specification, which is linear,
Yeah.
but the key word to retain is specification.
Hmm.
We're giving specifications. Now, you just found a very interesting concept that I will keep for myself,
That makes sense.
since you're giving it out free.
Yeah,
It's the whole topic
yeah,
since minute one of this podcast.
yeah. You're right.
You have managed to abstract this whole conversation of the past 34 minutes
Hmm.
in one concept: specifications.
Yeah.
Imagine how powerful your mind is. Your mind is very powerful, Sandeepan,
Thank you very
because
much.
you did it intuitively. For 34 minutes, we've been talking, and you've been asking me several questions. And I even never thought of using that word, which I will
Yeah.
use starting now because it sums up everything: specifications. Because that's what I meant. You can go back to this podcast for every minute, and it will end up for what you made emerge as an abstract specification. Now, if we go back to minute one, what makes a good prompt? Specifications. What
Hmm.
makes a good context? Specifications. What is an MCP? A specification. What is an agent? A, a specific task to do with the
Hmm.
universal specifications we gave it. You have the key word to the whole thing. You're doing the master class, not me.
I'm just the host. I'm just a host. I'm
You're
just
not. No. You're making a huge mistake. Really, literally. You're not a host. You're listening to a whole sequence,
hmm.
and you're building the semantic blueprint of this podcast in your mind.
Yep.
Because as I'm speaking, you're trying to extract what is the essence
Hmm.
of everything I'm saying. So you're not just a host, you're actively listening. You're not asking questions like a journalist and you go to, no, you're trying to extract something that you can use. And you've extracted the key word to this whole podcast is specifications. Be specific.
Yeah.
Be specific in what you say, in what you write, and the agents and the MC. It's the key word. You just gave the key word of the whole thing, and I'll use it in my workshop.
This. Thank you very much. I will expect some
No, no,
royalties.
no,
But
thank you. Thank you very much.
yeah. Okay. Something that I found really interesting, and this is something that I take away from your book as an idea. Obviously, there's a lot of things, but this is specifically stuck to me is the dual RAG system that you talked about, right? Uh,
Ah, yeah.
and this is really clever because we all talk about RAG and we talk about RAG patterns and retrieval and all of those stuff, but this concept of the separation in context library versus the knowledge base is what struck with me. Can you explain what this is? Like, why does a dual RAG system matter in enterprises?
Think of it. I talk to people a lot, and they're beginning to use co-pilots, and I say, how long did it take you to write a good prompt for your complex? Because I talked to engineers, and they said, wow, they gave me the co-pilot. I spent 2 hours writing the prompt
Hmm.
And I finally got what I wanted. And I said, why did you use it in the first place? Well, my management says if you don't use AI, you're going to be out of the company. So the state says, okay, oh, I have to use the copilot, but the copilot is slower than me. I have to write that whole context. It took me 2 hours to get it to convert these data Excel sheets into Oracle structured data that I could use in a script.
Hmm.
But I would have been faster if I did it with on my own. So I
Hmm.
spent 2 hours writing that. And I said, why do you do it? Well, the management says if you don't use the co-pilot, you're going to be out of the company because they're monitoring the time you're spending with the co-pilot. So
Hmm.
we're seeing the people that are participating, and those are ignoring it, and those are participating. They will get a bonus,
Hmm.
and they will go up, and the others are going to go out. So I said, what do you do after it? Well, I wrote last week. I spent like 10 hours, and I wrote 15 of them. And I say, where are they? Well, in the history. So now you have a report to do. Which one are you going to get? I don't know. I have to go through all 15 of them. And then what did you do? Well, I said, why don't you just write a little Word document or a Google sheet doc and write down?
Hmm.
Yeah, but now after 1 month, I have 50 of them. I don't know where to go get the context and the prompts. So the person has this whole pile of things,
Yeah.
but in the end, after 6 months, you're going to have, like in this company I'm thinking of, you have about 100 engineers times, I don't know, 100 prompts. So that's 10,000. You have 10,000 prompts all overlapping.
Hmm.
They're all overlapping each other because you have 15 people doing the same thing, repeating. It's completely ridiculous. Okay, this the essence of what I'm saying here is it's ridiculous because
Yeah.
another thing that goes with specification is organization
Hmm.
and productivity. So what are you going to do? It store them in an Oracle database. Okay, how are you going to go get them? You have to vectorize them. If you don't vectorize them, then you're going to go with keywords with SQ with queries. You get 15 answers. So now I vectorize these 10,000 instructions that
Hmm.
have worked, and I document them. This instruction does this. This instruction does that. This instruction was used for that and sent for there. Now I have an instruction knowledge base, and as my company moves to AI, my company becomes a super powerful knowledge base of the usage of copilots. Because now I don't have to write the prompt anymore. I'd say, read the instruct, read, go to the knowledge base. I have an agent that says, go to the knowledge base, go something that's close to this, write instructions, read the documents, generate. That's you have your multi-agent system. It does it automatically. It first goes look for instructions. If it doesn't, it'll create them. Then it goes for the data, and then it gives you the answer. Now you're in super productivity.
Hmm.
It's huge. It's worth millions of dollars because now you're thinking of a company of 50,000 people, and all can be enriched so fast. In maybe 1 year, you'll have one of the largest intelligent systems in the world. But if you don't do it, well, don't do it. Go ahead. Spend your time looking in histories and having all your people, everyone in the company overlapping and doing the same thing 15 times. It's like not having a mainframe in your company and everyone's working on Excel.
Hmm.
We've
Hmm.
seen that.
Yeah. It still happens.
Of course, it still happens.
Yeah.
It'll always happen because everyone thinks I can do it better than the other person.
So what I'm hearing from you, right, is the knowledge base is basically the factual store, if you like. So
Yep.
the what of things, right? So the factual data, domain knowledge, stuff like that, and the context library is the how, right? So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
basically stores semantic blueprints.
Yeah. How
It
and what?
guides like how to proceed with something that you have instructed me on.
Yeah, like if I'm the person at the in the airport, the automatic agent, the autonomous agent that sent the machines will say, where they'll have a set of instructions. Where would you like to go? Would you like to? What is your present location? Where do you want to go to the next location? And what kind of transportation do you want? That's pretty easy to. And what's nice about a generative AI system is, you can ask them other questions.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think so. So again, I was going through this chapter. I think it's chapter 4, Chapter 4 is where you assemble the context
Yes,
engine, right?
yes, yeah,
I think this is the heart of the book, in my opinion, like
yes.
where kind of these things come together, and it's very relevant to what companies are trying to do now. Uh, it's the autonomous system that you build that plans, executes, and then reflects on what it has done. So walk us through the architecture. Like, what are the three main components? So you talk about the planner, the executor, and the tracer. And why are these components so important? What each one does?
Okay, let's begin with the tracer because that is the most important one. It's not why, because if you're working in a corporation, traceability is the key. There's no way you're going to go beyond using online co-pilots into real project without
Mhm.
traceability. First of all, it's a legal obligation in Europe.
Yeah,
You cannot produce results that you can't explain, and it's becoming an issue in the United States.
yeah.
For another reason, copyrights.
Mm,
How can you prove that that is yours? Because I don't know if you know this, the law is now out and in effect, and there's already common law that if you can't prove that you use generative AI, but you designed everything I'm just told you, your specifications,
mm,
you can't have copyright.
mm,
That means you can work on a marketing campaign for Coca-Cola and your competitor can say, I'm going to say, take the same advertisement. No, no, no. I have a context engine with traceability and I can prove that we designed everything and I can show you the MCP of everything and I can show you the agent clearly. So now the MCP is revealing itself because it's easy to understand in a court of law. You can explain it does this. Everything I said up to now can be explained. So now you have full traceability of the system. Before you even want to have the agent, you want to have something that can explain what it's doing. So now it's pretty easy because now you have your dual RAG or you store your instructions. And now you can use generative AI. You
mm,
know the power of it. Or just write, give them separate agents like go look in the knowledge store and do this. Go look into the rules and do that. Write based on that. Write a summary or write an email. You can just give it a lot of tasks. Like you can imagine if you have a company, you're just giving them each agent has a job description. Think
mhm,
of them as people working for you, and they each have a job description, and you're just chaining it inside the system in a very deterministic way.
mhm,
It's not random. The system I built is extremely deterministic, where you can trace from A to Z what it's doing. So
mm,
if someone in a legal department comes up or you can say, no, 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 don't worry. I can explain everything that's in there in a very simple way that everyone understands. It's not a black box; it's a glass box. And you can even replace OpenAI's API with an open source LLM like Meta or DeepSeek, because DeepSeek can be downloaded and cut off from the web. So you have the source code. You don't need. You can take any open source and replace OpenAI. And once you have that, you don't need anyone out of the company. You can use your in-house database. So now you're sovereign. You have your system. You have transparency. You put all your agents together, and you can scale because all you have to do is add another agent and another agent. Because since
mhm,
there's an agent registry. It goes first through the agent registry to find the best agent. Then it goes up to dual rag to find the instructions of what it's supposed to do. And then it picks up the data and it generates. So it says, well, today I'd like to read, I don't know, the New York Times. So I have an agent registry that says read newspapers and then go to the web. You can scale it indefinitely.
yeah. And I think this connects directly to something that I obsess with when I work with customers. This observability and evaluation, right? So
Of
if you don't
course.
if you don't build this measurement system, then you cannot really improve. Not only prove and reason, but also you cannot improve it over time.
Yeah, that's a very important fact. That yeah, you just brought up a very important topic in real life projects.
Yeah.
It's no use giving an automatic system to someone if you can't improve the organization.
Yeah.
So this means that I'm running. Let's say I run the multi-agent system in a legal department on Monday. I have everyone. The person using it is an expert and has full traceability
Yeah.
and says, there's an issue. I don't like that instruction and I don't like that data. I like some of the responses were interesting, but this one missed a lot of things. So now I'm going to sit down in a meeting with my team and we have to think this through. Why? I have the full traceability. I printed it out. Why didn't this instruction's not good? Who wrote it? And who got that data? Yeah, but we used an intern. So we have an organization problem. It's not the system, it's the people.
Mm,
So let's leave this. We're not going to run that instruction until you have hire the right person to give me the right information. So now we're improving our organization.
mm,
Okay, not only the system.
yeah.
Now that the person's there, I have this new person, write a good instruction and put the right data in there. Now we correct both the system, the organization, human, the instructions, and the data. So it has to be a symbiosis between people and machines. There's no such thing as autonomous multi agents running all the time by themselves. There has to be human in the loop.
Yeah.
That's why, and then you improve the company, you improve everything. But the system and the both have to improve, evolve concurrently. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So let's bring this together. So we talked about the context engineering part, so taking prompts to semantically engineered context. We talked about MCP, talked about the different multiple agents that and they play their role. How do we now take this together into production? Like what you talked about, high fidelity RAG and defense mechanisms in your book.
Production, yeah.
Yeah, for production. So let's say we have got listeners who would think, okay, now we need to use these concepts and take things to production. What does the journey look like in an organization?
It's a tough journey, my friend.
Indeed it
there,
is. Yeah.
there is no journey. The
Yeah.
first thing I do, I'll just give you my life experience. And if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you say I work for a number of corporations
Yeah.
and a massive number because that's all I had as customers is these corporations. First of all, if I'm in a meeting, I take out a piece of paper and a pencil. And I say, I can do what you're asking with a piece of paper and a pencil.
Mm,
Why would you spend $1 on building a system?
mm,
All you have to do is open your door and talk to your colleague next door and ask him for the information. I'm not going to write an autonomous agent
mm,
for you to say, hey, Jim, did we receive the document from Joe? You're going to just get up and go ask him. So I'm not going to deliver. I'm not delivering it. And I've met many CEOs say, why don't you want to deliver? I'm giving you the money. I say, you don't need it. Your organization is so bad that if you just organize a little better, you don't need anything. You just need to be organized. You're disorganized, and you're trying to compensate a disorganized company with software. It won't work. You can give me all the money you want, but in 6 months it still won't work because you don't have the organization.
mm,
Okay, it's like you can't. So the person says, well, what do I have to do? Well, first organize your company and then come back and see me. And then say, well, how do we organize it? So, well, I'm a consultant. We can organize it. We can start in one department,
mm-hmm,
one little place where you stop using people that don't know anything.
mm,
And for example, it's a factory. Go get me a person working in the factory, please,
mm,
and bring them to this meeting. I said, why would I bring a blue collar into a white collar meeting? Because your white collar is talking nonsense all year. So if I put them in an autonomous agent, it's going to produce nonsense in your supply chain. So I need that guy to come up. So they go get one because they know this is a very serious conversation because I'm ready to walk out of the corporation.
yeah.
So they go
You
get
need the domain experts in there.
an SME.
Yeah.
And the SME says, yeah, they've been giving us this software for years. We don't use it. We it's there. We just type in the information they want, but I have this other system. They say, what is that other system?
Yeah.
So now you bring the real system. So now you can see phase one is organization. Do not do a project. Don't do anything until you have these basic SMEs around you and you
Mm,
know that your agent is going to reflect the specifications
yeah.
of that SME.
Mm,
Now, where do you start? You start by a quick win. That is a classic in
yeah.
software. You're not going to do anything in that company. You're going to take one area that's very painful, something very difficult, uh, and the person is suffering. and the person is working 10, 12 hours a day, and there's a lot of suffering in there, and that job is very well defined. We're beyond the organization. Said, I'm very well organized, but I'm all alone, because before we were three people, now I'm all alone,
Mm,
because they're saving. They fired two people because they had to do layoffs. So I'm doing 300% of the work, and I try. I get here at 8 in the morning. I leave at 8 in the. I just can't do it. I'm going to have a burnout. I said, oh, that is a good one, because you're not going to replace the person. You're going to help a person.
mm,
So the second thing in my experience is, I'm not going to replace people.
mm.
If you want to be replace people, go see a Nazi.
Yeah.
He'll love it. And then fire all the people you want and get a lot of money. I'm not firing anyone. I'm not here to do that. You give me someone that's overworked, and I'll bring that 12-hour day down to 4 hours, where the person can spend 4 hours thinking, talking to people, improving. So now you're going to get a lot of productivity out of that person, because for the moment, the person not thinking. So then you can look at this person that's well organized, and now you can implement this multi-agent system with that person. Say, what takes you the most time? Writing emails. I have 1,000 emails in my mailbox. I don't even know where to start. I can do that very easily. I can have a system that parses all your emails, that stores them in a temporary file system, that
Mhm,
reads them, and
mm.
with the instructions in dual rag, we can pick out the instructions, and we can filter the ones that are good for you and the ones that are not good for you. And then we can tell you what to do, and then we can bring those 4 hours down to 1 hour.
Makes sense. So what I'm getting from you is basically to take it to production, choose a domain in your business, pick an SME from that domain, pick the quick wins, and see how you can build from there using the components that you have described in your
Help
book
by helping someone.
by helping someone. Yeah.
Do not get the reputation of a
Mm.
killer, but get the reputation of a builder, because then everyone will come and ask you for something.
That's a
Everyone.
powerful sentence. Yeah.
Everyone in that company. Sometimes I work for these major corporations 20 years,
Yeah.
because everyone says, "Hey, Dennis, come over," because they know they can you can be trusted. You're not looking to replace, you're looking to help them. That means that you're not going to automate everything, because you're going to
Mm.
help this person keep his job or
Yeah.
her job or they job, or whatever gender you want to call the person. So you just want to say, you're working 12 hours. I'm going to bring it down so you can go home early, but we're
Yeah.
not going to bring it down to the point where you're not there anymore. We don't want to do that. If someone wants to do that, well, I'm sorry, I'm not working for you.
Mm.
Do not accept. Do not accept a bad organization. Do not accept somewhere you hurt people. You don't want to hurt people. You want to help people. And if you do that, you're going to get a reputation where everyone is going to ask you for something. That's how I built the LinkedIn profile references. Everyone wants to work with you.
Yeah. Okay. That's been great. Thank you. I think we have a complete picture around the uh, around the techniques that you explain in the book. But obviously, coupled with your workshop and people buying your book, I think they'll get a deeper context, a more specific context. But before we end, I just want to do a quick rapid fire with you. 5 questions, really short answers.
Sure, sure.
It's totally based on your experience working with in corporations and in context engineering, right? So, first one, what is the most overrated context engineering technique that everyone's doing right now?
Overrated context engineering. I would say ignorance, not knowing what context engineering is, and not knowing linguistics or what semantics is. Just fishing around, trial and error. Trial and error is the mistake, instead of building the specifications.
Makes sense. What's the most underrated technique that teams should be doing but they're not doing now?
Linguistics. We're
Okay.
talking to a large language model, but
Hmm.
no one knows anything about linguistics in our software field.
If you could use only one tool or technology for context engineering, what would it be?
My mind.
Great answer. What is the biggest mistake you made in your own journey, in context engineering or AI in large? And what did you learn the hard way?
I'm a geek, so I think I have a good idea, and I develop at full speed, and after one day I said, I could have built that in 20 lines.
Mm.
And I'm talking AI, where I built like 5 notebooks. It
Yeah.
happened to me last week. In fact, I built things so fast that I got lost,
Mm.
because in short-term memory, I didn't document it enough. That is the biggest mistake, is not to document before developing. And I was just, oh, I'll remember it. I'm so smart. After 3 days, I had to go back and document everything for 14 or 15 hours.
It happens a lot with me, to be honest. Okay, one prediction. What is where is context engineering headed in the next 2 3 years? What's the future?
Either the people have a context engine like I'm talking about, or they will go nowhere, because you can't go somewhere without Glassbox, traceability, MCP. So what's going to happen is people are going to spend a lot of money going around in circles, and then eventually everyone's going to have a context engine. Everyone. And that's not 5 years, it's maybe 10 years,
Hmm.
because it's pretty difficult to infuse this, because that means the training in college has to change, more linguistics, more organization. It'll take time, but it'll get there. And when it gets there, I can tell you something terrible. Everything we're talking about is going to be swept away by a new technology, and
You
we have
talk,
to start over again.
yeah, yeah. You talked about linguistics. Is there, so if someone wanted to learn about it, what is the best place to go? Is there a book or something, a starting point? Have you got anything in mind?
That's a tough one, because I have a university training in linguistics. Best, maybe, because we're talking a lot to developers
Hmm.
that don't like to get involved in all that. I would say a nice place to begin, which is that it's between linguistics, is SRL, semantic role labeling.
Okay.
It's underrated. That is underrated. It's very
Okay.
interesting. You have the Allen Institute, which is an open source, open sport. SRL is a good place because it gives you a bridge between linguistics and computer science, because it labels it, and
Okay.
it's a good place to learn, because now the large language models know how to do that and explain it to you. So all you have to do is give it a paragraph, or give it a sentence, and say, give me an SRL analysis and explain what it is to me, and there you go.
Makes sense.
That's a good place to start.
Dennis, thank you. This has been absolutely exceptional. And I, before you leave, is there any message that you want to leave for the listeners? Anything that you want to say?
Yes, talk to Sandeepan, because he knows how to extract essence from conversation, like summing up this whole conversation into specifications.
Thank you very much. Dennis, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Incredible. Thanks. Now, for everyone listening, if you're building AI systems that you are tired of unpredictable, unreliable outputs, Dennis' book, Context Engineering for Multi-Agent Systems, is an essential reading. I have read it myself and I really love it. It's not theory, it's hands-on. You have got code in every chapter that you can go and try out, and you can basically implement them. So go grab the book. The link is in the description. Also, if you want to walk through these concepts hands-on with Dennis himself, he's running a workshop with Pact on 24th of Jan. The details are again in the description. Go register for the workshop. I'm sure that it will be really useful for you. Thank you for watching this podcast. I will see you in the next one. Please subscribe to the channel and share this with your friends. Thank you. Bye.